So let's look at the data of this test. So if I open the window over here on the right, I can see a textual data of what happened during the quiz. So for Corey, I can see that she finished level 9 and got 7 answers correct and 3 incorrect, and the average response time. Then I can see what the answer was for question 1 and what this clicker answered, and how long it took to answer. Or I can look at the visual graph with the colors and see it that way. Now where the X is on the box means that answer was incorrect, and as I scroll across to the right, it was counting how many seconds it was taking. So the spaces between the bars are the time between the student finished answering the question and needed to click clear on the ActivExpression to go to the next question. So long pauses in between questions means the student was not actively engaged. It also means the long colored bars mean the student looked at the question for a longer period, so they might have been stumped on the question. Very short boxes indicate the student didn't fully read the question and was just clicking through to the answers. And up at the top right corner, we can select a student to see different data. So let's click on Rocco. This student got the same number of answers correct and incorrect, but their average response time was just a little bit shorter. In the top left corner, you can see how much time was left in the test in the pre-built time. This test happened to have 20 minutes built in, and so we were down to 15 minutes and 51 seconds remaining. If I change the view to incorrect answers, I can see which ones each student got wrong, and these are in question order. So the very first question, Corey got it wrong. On the second question, all 3 students got it wrong. The orange question, because it was level 3, 2 students got it wrong. And the 6th question, which is purple, all 3 students got it wrong. So this is helpful to find out whether a question was maybe worded wrong and led students to choose the wrong answer. Level summaries will show you how long each student took on that level of that question and whether they got it right or wrong. So if you set up your harder questions toward the end, students are likely to take longer time to do so, to answer them correctly. So you could set up your hard questions at the beginning of the test where they have more time. So all your harder questions could be labeled level 1, and they descend into easier questions toward the end where students have less time if you have a time limit on your test. So after a test, you can get the results and you can save them to go back later to enter into Skyward or to review the results with the class. Once you close the results window, you can retrieve the results if you have not already closed the flip chart yet by opening your page browser and clicking on the ActivExpression icon. When you click the results browser, it will pop up with the votes that you've done by date and time. Choose the one you want and you can double click it to open that results window with the visual representation again, or you can export it into an Excel file to save. Choose the one you want and hit export. Choose where you want to save the Excel file and the name that you want to save it as. I'm going to save this as Cat Quiz. So the beginning tab in Excel is a summary quiz of this instance. So we want to look at the data that happened today during the quiz with the 3 students. We can see that Corey, Riley, and Rocco each got 70%, and we can see the green answers that they got correct and the red answers that they got wrong. To dig deeper into the data, we can click on the Question tab and see each student's response to that question. So if there were lots of red answers to that question, perhaps that question was more difficult. If we click on the Student tab, we can see a student's individual results altogether. So for this time, we can see that student 1 or student 20 or 21, what they got right versus red versus green. And the question page is simply a summary of the quiz, what each question said and what the options were. So you can save your Excel files and use them to put them in Skyward how you want. You can also keep them as database so you can show students how they progress, especially if you did a pre-test and a post-test.